Hi, this is Bruno and Faye, and today we're going to talk about the 10 things beginner figure skaters should know how to do well.
We've been seeing quite a few questions from beginner figure skaters or people who maybe have not started their classes yet or are just in the very beginning of their journey, wondering about what should they do, what should they learn first, what are the skills that are essential for their figure skating journey as they're gonna start their classes or as they're gonna start their coaching. So in this video, we're gonna go over these 10 things that every beginner skater should be really comfortable with as they're starting to learn actual figure skating elements. Now, our usual disclaimer, we are not coaches and this is not a coaching video. So in this video, we're not going to teach you how to do these things. This is what you have the coaches for. We're just going to give you a bit of a guidance of what you can start exploring, maybe look for tutorial videos, or maybe what you should ask your coach to learn. First thing that every beginner figure skater should really know well is balance. This is one of the first things that you learn on the ice, but you can start working on it before you even get there. Try practicing standing on 2 feet, bending and straightening your knees, or lifting 1 foot at a time and trying to balance for as long as you can. Once you get to the ice, that skill will be really helpful. Just make sure to watch your posture. You can always open your arms strongly to the side. That helps a lot with balance, and most importantly, keep your knees bent. Among the very first things you're gonna learn on the ice is how to hold your own, how to just stand in place and not fall over, and later on, how to switch your weight from 1 foot to the other while maintaining your balance. This is called marching.
The next thing you need to know is know how to push. The first 2 kinds that you learn are the swizzles and stroking. For swizzles, you're gonna start with the heels together and the toes apart. Then you're gonna bend your knees, push your feet apart, and bring your toes back together. For stroking, you're gonna start with your feet in a T position, you're gonna bend your knees, and you're gonna push on 1 foot. Then repeat the same on the other foot.
One of the most important things you're gonna learn in ice skating is how to fall. This skill is essential because if you're gonna do any ice skating at all, you're gonna fall a lot. This is just something to accept from the get-go. This skill is super important because with the amount of falling you're gonna do, you're gonna really know how to fall safely. General rule of thumb is that falling on the squishy parts is usually less painful than falling on the bony parts. So this is what you're gonna learn how to do. The very basic way that they're gonna teach you in the Learn to Skate classes is to make sure the second you feel like you're gonna lose your balance, you're gonna get yourself down in twerking position, bend your knees, lean your chest a little bit forward, and get ready to twerk. If you haven't regained your balance by then, try to make an effort to fall on your side so that you land on your thigh, which is usually the least painful body part to fall on, as the most cushioning. After you learn how to fall, you're gonna learn how to get up. The easiest way is to transfer your weight back on top of your legs, put 1 foot up on the ice, just like this, lean your hands on your knee, and just push yourself up back to the standing position.
The next thing is gliding, which you guys probably already figured out that you're gonna use a lot on the ice.
Again, this is something you're gonna learn very early on in your figure skating journey because that's what ice skating is all about. They usually start you by doing either your swizzles that you just learned right before, or even marching until you gain a little bit of momentum. Then you're just gonna put both feet down on the ice and just enjoy the ride, at least until the nearest wall. Once you master that skill and feel really confident in your 2 foot glide, you can try lifting 1 foot up very carefully, just a tiny bit off the ice, and try gliding on 1 foot to feel how that balance transfer feels. And if you're extra confident with both of the skills, you can even try gliding backwards.
So now that you know how to glide, you're gonna need to know how to stop the glide.
The most basic way that the very beginner ice skaters learn very fast is to stop themselves by just gliding into the wall. If you're using that method, just make sure that you extend your arms in front of you for a little bit of amortization and try to not go very fast because running into the wall with some speed is usually not a very pleasant experience.
The second most common method is just running off the ice.
I would not recommend that though. That being said, there's actually a proper way of stopping on the ice.
There are many different ways to stop yourself on the ice. The first two that you usually learn is the snow plow and the T-stop. Snow plow is when you turn your feet in, and the T-stop is when you have your feet in a T position. So the snow plow is usually the one that is taught first, but personally I prefer the T-stop. I feel like it's less scary because you have one foot behind the other, so you don't feel like you're gonna trip over. But some people prefer the other one. So once you learn all the basic elements going forward, guess what? You're gonna learn them again going backwards.
In figure skating, we actually spend a lot of time skating backwards. This is how you prepare for all your jumps, all your spins, and just generally a lot of elements either start going backwards or have backwards skating somewhere in their midst. Moving backwards is not the most natural thing for human beings to do, but that's definitely something we need to get comfortable with if we want to do figure skating.
The first backwards elements they usually learn is the backwards swizzles and the backwards glides. So this is a good place to start.
The one thing that every ice skater, regardless of their discipline, definitely and absolutely needs to know is how to tie your skates. That's a pretty obvious one. However, there are many different skate brands and each brand tends to have their own little detail. If you really want to dive deep into the topic, you can just put in the search how to tie, insert your skate brand, and there are usually a few videos that pop up that show you in detail how you do it. We just wanted to focus on the main principle that regardless of which skates you end up getting, the most important thing to remember is your skates need to be tight. If your skates are loose, it's pretty dangerous and you're not gonna feel safe, you're not gonna feel secure while ice skating. There are three main areas of your skate that you will need to think about when tying. There's a closer to the toe area, there's the ankle bend area, and there's a vertical part of the skate. It's very much an individual preference. Exactly how tight do you want them to be in certain areas, but the common understanding is that your skates always need to be the tightest where your foot bends. Yes, so that ankle area where your horizontal part of the skate turns into the vertical part of the skate is where you really want to pull on those laces. Next thing is edges. This one is getting a little more advanced already, so start thinking about that once you've mastered most of your basic skills that we have just talked about. However, it's important to know and to understand that the blade of every skate does not necessarily look like a knife on the bottom, which is a very common misconception. It actually looks like a double knife, which is even more badass.
A thicker knife.
A thicker knife, and it has two edges. It has a right edge and a left edge, or what we commonly refer to inside edge and the outside edge. The way the skates are sharpened, they're gonna have a bit of a hollow in the middle of your blade, and then they have the sharpest parts on the edges. Thus the name. The inside edge is when your foot is leaning inwards. The outside edge is when your foot is leaning outwards. That might not be the most accurate way to explain it, but I think it's the most straightforward. So hopefully it gets the idea across. In figure skating, we use them a lot to control where we're actually going and to execute a lot of our maneuvers, turns, jumps, pretty much anything you can think of involves the use of edges to some extent. As a general principle, you will skate in a straight line if you're what we call on flat, which means you have both edges equally touching the ice. If you lean your weight towards one side or towards the other, you transition to one of the edges and you're gonna start curving. A lot of our elements in figure skating are done on curves and using the curves, so you will definitely be using the edges a lot.
The next thing is gonna be speed. Speed is something you're gonna start getting more comfortable with the more you skate. So generally there's two types of skaters. One that is scared of speed and does everything slow, which is like Faye. And the other one is the one that gets overly excited about speed, and that's when you refer back to the points about stops. You're gonna need to know how to stop the glide. Jokes aside, going fast is something very scary in the beginning and when you're trying new elements. But it's something you start getting more comfortable with the more you skate.
The important part is to not get stuck in the phase stage and stay chicken for the rest of your skating life, because doing elements with speed and power is very important, and a lot of the more advanced elements you will not be able to do unless you're comfortable with skating fast. And the absolute most important skill that you will have to truly master if you want to ice skate is how to bend your knees. This is probably universally the most common comment you will ever hear from any coach at any ice rink that you ever go to. because we all struggle with this regardless of the level. Bending your knees sounds like such a trivial and easy thing, but for some reason, the second you step on the ice, this skill just leaves your body entirely. And we all tend to, for whatever reason, just become stick figure people and just refuse to bend your knees. Oftentimes, in our heads, we feel like we're almost squatting, our knees are so bent, and then we don't know why the coach is still yelling this, but then we would look at a video or look at each other and we're like, yeah, no, yeah, those knees were definitely not there. So if you're just starting out, get a head start on this skill. Start really working on bending those knees.
That's all we got. Hopefully you're well equipped now to start your journey.
Don't forget to subscribe. Please like and share this video if you found it helpful, and we'll see you next week.